Vicarious liability, scope and justification. So, whenever a person commits an act which is unlawful, that person is held liable for violating the law, and thus he is punished accordingly. For example, A enters into the property of B without his permission. Such an act of A amounts to trespass, and thus he is liable. This is the general rule of torts, but in some situations, a person can be made liable even if he has not done any wrong. If it is done by some other person with whom he shares a certain relation, such as master and servant or principal and agent, in these cases his liability is called vicarious liability. So, vicarious liability means the liability of a person for an act committed by some other another person, and such liability arises due to the nature of the relationship between those two persons. For example, A is a driver of B, and while driving B's car for taking him to his office, he hits C, a pedestrian, due to his negligence in driving. In such a case, even though B was not driving the car, he will still be liable for the accident which was caused due to the negligence of his driver A. Now, relation in which vicarious liability arises. So, there are major relations in which vicarious liability arises, and these are master and servant, partners in a partnership firm, principal and agent, company and its directors, owner and independent contractor. Now, vicarious liability of master for torts by servant. So, in a master servant relationship, the master employs the services of the servant, and he works on the command of master, and thus a special relation exists between the two, and in case of a tort committed by the servant, his master is also held liable. There are many cases in which the servant does an act for his master, and thus in law it is deemed that the master was doing the act himself. Therefore, if the servant commits an unlawful act, the master will also be liable for the same. This liability of the master is based on the following two maxims. First, quae facit per alium facit per se. It means that whenever a person gets something done by another person, then the person is viewed to be doing such an act himself. Illustration for this is, if A is the owner of many trucks and employs drivers to drive them for the purpose of trade, and in case one of his driver gets into an accident because of his rash driving, then even though A did not drive the truck himself, he will be liable for the accident. Next is respondent superior. So it means that the superior should be held responsible for the acts done by his subordinate. So these two maxims have played a very significant role for the development of vicarious liability. Now, essentials of vicarious liability in master servant relationship. So these essential conditions have to be followed for the vicarious liability of master to arise. First, the servant has committed an act which amounts to a tort. Second, such a tortious act is committed by the servant during the course of his employment under the master. Now, reasons for the liability of the master. So, there are several reasons behind holding the master liable for the act of his servants, which are: first, an act which is committed by the servant is considered to be done by the master through him, and therefore, in the law of torts, it is assumed that if any wrong is done by the servant, it has been committed by his master indirectly, and so the master is held liable for these wrongs. Second, the master is a better financial position as compared to his servant. And thus, in case of any loss caused by the tortious act of the servant, the master is better suited to pay off the damages to the victim of the act. Also, since the master is the made liable, he makes sure that all reasonable care and precautions are carried so that he can avoid such liability. Third, when a servant does any act, the benefit from such an act is enjoyed by the master, and thus for the liability arising out of the servant's act, the master should also shoulder that liability. Now, next is test for determining master servant relationship. So, for the determination of a master servant relationship, certain tests have been developed over a long period of time. First is traditional view, that is the control test. So, as per this test, for the determination of a master and a servant relationship, it should be seen whether the master has the power to not only instruct what should be done but also the manner of doing the act. And if such power exists, then as per this test, the master and servant relationship exists between the two. Now, illustration for this is A is the owner of a big area of land on which farming activities are carried out, and he has hired many workers for farming. A not only instructs them how to do their jobs but also how to do it. Here, my first test of control. The relation between A and his employees is established as that of a master and servant. Now, a modern view. So, the old control test is not applicable as an exhaustive test because, in cases of work requiring skill, such as doctor working in a hospital, the owner of the hospital cannot instruct the doctor on how to treat a patient and can only instruct him to treat patients. Thus, certain other tests have been developed for determining the master servant relationship. So, the test of work being an integral part of business. In the case of Stevenson, Jordan, and Harrison Ltd., McDonald and Evans, the test of an integral part of the business was applied. Here, a contract of service was held to be a contract for such work, which is an integral part of the business, and a contract for service was held to be a contract for such work, which is not an integral part of business. So, illustration for this is in an IT company, the programmers are the employees of the company and there is a master servant relationship. But if the company has hired catering services, the company does not have a master servant relationship because the act of providing food is not an integral part of an IT company. Multiple tests. So, this test provides that people who are in contract of service are deemed to be employees, whereas the people who are in contract for service are independent contractors. In the case of ready mixed concrete versus Minister of Pensions and National Insurance, three conditions were laid down for a contract of service. The servant agrees to provide his skill and work to the master for performing some service in the exchange for wages or some other consideration. He agrees to be subjected to such a degree of control so as to make the person his master in the performance of his work. The other provisions of the contract are consistent with this provision of being a contract of service. This view was also reiterated in the case of the management of Indian Bank versus presiding officer. This test also includes other important factors that are used to determine the master servant relationship, such as who owns the tools being used for the work, is the employee paid wages monthly or on daily basis, and all other relevant factors. Thus, the old view of using control test is no longer the only method of determining the relation of master and servant, as it has been realized that in the present complex world where there are a wide number of factors which affect the process of determining the relation between the employee and the employer. It is not possible to use just one test, and thus the various aspects of the case are seen to determine the nature of the relationship and to decide whether such a relation is that of a master and servant or not. So it can be concluded that under vicarious liability, a person can be held liable for the torts that are committed by another person if that person shares a master servant relation with him. The servant does the act on behalf of his master, and therefore the law of torts provides that any wrongful act which is done in the course of employment by the servant is bound to make the master liable for it. There have been several tests for determining the relation of master and servant, and the court also applies its discretion according to the facts of the case to determine such a relationship.